This is his second show at Archway, and Kevin's been our idea-generating guru of the gallery. Everything new we've got going on has generally been him and Liz, in concert with Liz. So figure drawing every Sunday. It's an event for the entire art community of Houston. That's him and Liz. The late night pies I mentioned, his inspiration on those. No, I just bring pie. I get the easy part. So tonight, as he told us yesterday, this show follows from a theme that started at the end of his last show. And so instead of me telling you about it,
you did a great job.
Yeah, come on.
Do I need a mic? I don't know. Okay. Is the mic on?
Now the mic's on. There you go.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Don't be shy.
So, yeah. Since the theme for tonight, Deep Space Communication, has a lot to do with what started. The theme started my last show, and it started with the talk that I gave at my last show. So, full circle. All right, you made it. Oh, higher? Am I not? Am I? Can you hear me now? Yes. Okay. I'll speak louder. Okay. The thing that I said in the last opening was that art, when the artist puts their art on the wall, that's them communicating. The people that come by and see that art, they receive that communication, that message, and then later on they go off, they tell other people about it, it inspires them to do other art, things go on, and the original artist who put the art on the wall never hears back from the people that they see, or the people that see the work. And that's sort of like deep space communication, where you might send a signal out into the universe, and it travels for so long and so far that the whatever alien creature that eventually receives that message, by the time they hear it and send something back, you're long gone. You know? So it's sort of that kind of thing. It's that art is communication, but it is very much asynchronous communication. It is communication that the artist has to give out there. They have to communicate. My definition of artist is a person who has experiences, thinks and learns from those experiences, and then is driven to share what they've learned from their experience with others. And how they share it, that's the kind of artist they end up being. Are they a musician, a dancer, a painter, printmaker? That's just how they end up doing it. But the inspiration is there no matter what. And so, it's kind of funny that I'm talking to all of y'all, since the theme of my show is that I'm not supposed to talk to all of y'all, and y'all aren't supposed to hear me, and none of y'all should ever respond to anything that I am saying to me personally. So the rest of the show, y'all don't talk to me. Unless you want to, that's fine. Going on from there, obviously, you know, I'm sitting in the middle of this installation piece that is something new for me as an artist. I love installation. I love the idea of bringing people into a space and giving them sort of the ability to step out of what's going on around them, sort of a reality, and sort of step into perhaps another area where their ideas can kind of float around and you can just pick things up. So installation's been something I've been wanting to do. So this piece here sort of generated, I don't know if you can see these on the camera. I hope so, I'm just staring off into space. They sort of generated, it, to make an incredibly long story even longer, when I originally got this show, okay, so you'll understand, if you knew me, you'd understand. I got this spot for this show a year and a half ago. this is completely not the show that started a year and a half ago. I started off with this grand theme. The title was set. The title was set in my previous show, Deepspace Communication. And I want to talk about communication and how culture forms through communication and how we all communicate with each other. Oh, this is so great. I'm really inspired. So I'm like, I'm going to go back to cavemen days. I'm going to go back to as far back in culture as I possibly can and do a lineage of communication all the way up until the modern day. And then I realized about, a month into that was a ridiculous idea for a one-person show. And that's just, I'm going to encompass the whole of human history in my show. Like, that's ridiculous. I mean, a little egocentric, but that's okay, but it's more just ridiculous. And so, after thinking about it for a little bit of time, I said, I have to focus this on my experience. I have to start with what I personally experienced and share that first, and then as I can connect that to other things, I'll do so. So, as a child, I would spend a lot of time outside skateboarding or just walking around at night, looking at the stars, hanging out with my friends, doing all kinds of fun stuff like that. And the skateboard decks just sort of came out of that originally. I use the word totem of my past. I feel like that's appropriate because as a child getting a skateboard, that is sort of your first taste of freedom. I am now not bound to the front yard. I can get out on the street and I can travel all across town. It also sort of set me up in a tribe, if you will, of other people that were interested in this kind of thing. So in a way, these are sort of totemic to me. So I started with those and engraved these images. I say engraved, I painted these images. Painted these images on of the stars, sort of, and arranged them in this arc. My original thought was the night sky, sort of mythologically speaking, you might have referred to the night sky as the robes of a deity or something of that, something like that. And I thought about this, the skateboard, I thought about how I might envision, as I was skateboarding, the bottom of my skateboard being the sky, and how I was traveling through the sky with my friends and doing that kind of stuff. So that sort of was the inspiration. Once I got it hung, however, I have to say this. Once I got this hung, for those of you over there, raise your hand, whoever's over there. Nobody raised their hand. For those of you, you see this and you see this arch, and you probably feel this sense of movement that this arch, because that's what I do. I hope that you get that. But when I'm standing here, it's sort of a different feeling. When I first got this hung yesterday, I had a feeling of being sort of in an enclosed space, like in a cave, kind of looking at marks that were left by other people, sort of frozen in time, which just totally made me happy. And I say, everyone stand over there and look at it, then come stand over here and look at it, and see what you think. As far as the rest of the show, I love this piece. As far as the rest of the show, which is also awesome, the paintings here are based on the concept of interaction with the sky. And living in the society we live in now, living in the time that we live in now, most of us have somewhat of a connection to the night sky, but a lot of us that live in places that are more lit, cities, more urban dwelling people, we don't really have the same kind of ability to connect as other people, previous people, people living in areas that are not so urbanized get to connect. And these paintings are about connecting with the night sky. Not being afraid of it, not being afraid of the dark or afraid of what's beyond, but embracing it and looking for the other out there. On this wall over here, you might see my prints. Some of these prints are my planets, which are dealing with the concepts of, well, the planets are dealing specifically with the idea of ancient science and how man, first looking up into the sky, tried to come to terms with what he saw there and tried to relate to it, and came up with stories and ideas, and how that eventually turned into astronomy. So you went from astrology to astronomy. Further in the corner there, we have the ancestral masks, and I'm very proud of these pieces. I hope everyone gets a chance to look at them. The concept behind the ancestral mask pieces was, again, it goes back to the communication. It goes back to us as individuals staring off into an infinite void and feeling, sensing that there's something looking back, something to communicate with. Now, obviously, it's not, we can't hear it. It's not talking to us directly. We can shout out, and it's not necessarily saying anything back to us. So we're not in this direct communication like we are here. We're in a deep space communication. And the mask is a way, the bottom of the mask represents the people wanting to make the communication, us, on the ground, wanting to speak. The top of the mask represents the memories, the dreams, the ideas of the people. And so the concept was, as you put the mask on and you look up to the sky and you can say, I see what you're telling me and here's what I'm telling you back, and let's carry this conversation on. So that sort of covers in general deep space communication in the show today. And I appreciate everyone coming out who did. And if there are any questions, you can't talk to me anymore.
What's going on the 14th?
Oh, on the 14th, I'm doing another talk, and I will also be doing some printmaking here during the talk. So please come out if y'all are available and interested. And I'll be carving and inking and printing a new plate related to the show that I haven't done yet, so I can't tell you about it. And then we'll be discussing some of the other background that led into this show. Go enjoy some